What's going on, everyone? Welcome to this weekend Sidereal Astrology forecast for Saturday and Sunday, October 7th and 8th, 2017. And this video is for Sidereal. If you are new to the channel, definitely check out the link down below. The signs are different. We're using the actual size of the constellations here. All right, so this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, a lot of aspects on Sunday, actually, two major ones. We got Mercury combust with the Sun, conjunction there, and Venus squaring up to Saturn. So as we approach Sunday, I think there might be a bit of that buzzing energy. Mercury, the planet of our mind, of our communication, getting inflamed by the Sun, engulfed by the Sun. So usually when this happens, there can be a bit of that burnt out kind of energy or erratic kind of energy. You're just feeling like there's a lot of that fire behind our mind and our communication. So we'll talk about healthy ways of working with that. But also Venus is going to be squaring up to Saturn, which does suggest perhaps a bit of detachment in relationships, maybe seeing things a bit realistically, which is great in relationships, but then I'm remembering to stay nice and grounded and committed and responsible in them as well. So there's healthy ways of working with this, which we'll talk about. And as this is all going on Saturday, we have the moon in Aries. So we are coming off of this more watery full moon. It was in Pisces. It was squaring Pluto. And so now I think a bit more into the in the world kind of energy, active energy, direct with that moon in Aries. And then the second half of Sunday, the moon will start to go into Taurus, which is where the moon is exalted, loves to be here. Really good for stability and enjoying the simple life. All right, so let's go ahead and break all of this down in more detail. All right, so let's start with Saturday. We got the moon well placed in Aries on Saturday. Again, coming off of that very watery Pisces full moon, which is about more of that having to let go and surrender and all that stuff that's more challenging for us as human beings, right? So Aries is much more about our independence, our autonomy, taking action. We're still going to likely be under the influence of that Pisces energy, but I think there'll be more of a shift towards wanting to initiate some things, take some action, pursue some goals, get into that in the world active energy, trusting our instincts as well with Aries. So that's the backdrop of the day. There's no major aspects on Saturday. Like I said, most of them will be on Sunday. But we do have some nice aspects this weekend, actually. It's pretty much all blue. This red one here is just a square to the North Node, which isn't felt personally at all. So we do have a lot of sextiles and trines with the moon this weekend. And Saturday is a sextile to Neptune. So even though I think there is this a little bit more of that, again, that active energy or just feeling a bit more, autonomous and independent, there is an easygoingness about the whole thing and a bit of receptivity in an easy way, at least available with the moon sextiling up to Neptune and then trining up to Pluto as we go into Sunday. A little bit of support from Pluto because again, Pluto was squaring the full moon. So that may have been a bit more challenging to feeling fears and deep stuff arising and maybe power struggles or whatever. And so as that is easing up from that full moon coming into this weekend, we're feeling probably a bit empowered, like we are willing to face our fears, take some actions, just, do things in a way that is more in alignment with what we're truly about. So as we get into Sunday, though, we will likely start to feel a bit of the Sunday energy, maybe the later part of Saturday. The moon will still be in Aries the first half of Sunday. But Sunday is going to have this combust energy, right? Mercury combust over the sun. It's not a major thing. This happens about 6 times out of the year. And the way I personally experience it, I do feel a bit of that short-circuiting kind of energy. When it comes to the mind, it's hard for the mind to think clearly. Just because there's so much, in this case, a good example is fire behind it, right? And it could be maybe burnt out feeling or something like that. But depending on how you're feeling it, because again, this is collective for everybody, the best way I've found to work with it is to channel that mental energy and communicative energy in grounded ways. So one example might be expressing yourself with a friend or a family member, someone you trust that you can just kind of just spontaneously express yourself with, right? Because again, the mind isn't thinking, so it's just kind of coming out, the self-expression. Another way is maybe writing things down, maybe doing some journaling, some writing. Planning is usually fantastic. Not necessarily for like solidifying planning, but just brainstorming, coming up with ideas, concretizing things. And yeah, there could even be some insights, you know, oftentimes, because the sun does represent the very high spirit of our being. And that could be channeled through the mind. The mind can kind of get insights and understand some things perhaps from a more spiritual, let's say, sort of perspective. Now this conjunction is going to be in Virgo, so it could be very analytical. It's been an analytical time with the Sun and Mercury here. And in fact, next week we do have Venus and Mars shifting into Virgo to add to that. But yeah, it could be analytical, it could be very focused on the details, perfectionistic. You know, with Virgo, it's good to strive towards perfection, but remembering that, of course, there is no perfection, right? Just doing the best we can. And again, focusing on what we do have control over, which is our own autonomy, our actions, our self-improvement, our work, our service, those types of things. All right, so that's the combust energy. Now, Venus is going to be squaring up to Saturn, like I said. So this is more on the relationship front. I think this earlier part of the week, we did have a lot of that energy there in relationships, or there was the passion, there's that direct energy with Venus and Mars conjunct. But now there's a bit of a test with, let's say, the relationships, or even the things that we value in life and enjoy in life, whether relationships or whatnot. And the test here is just a bit of this probably realistic view of them, right? So there could be this very cold, sort of realistic, cold eye towards relationships or towards values or towards finances. And so just kind of, you know, being patient with the whole thing. Saturn is helping us see the real side of our values, but in such a way that we're developing a bit of a more grounded approach to them, you know, taking the responsible approach, the committed approach, the long-term approach, and the patient approach. You know, understanding that these things take time, our values take time to develop, our relationships take time to develop. And I think the more willing we are to embody the role of Saturn here, it can be a great way of working with it. All right, so that's the weekend in a nutshell. Then, as I said, as we get into the second half of Sunday, the moon will be in Taurus going into next week, so it could be good for a bit of the luxurious life, enjoying the simple life, good meals, relaxation, being grateful for what we have, just feeling probably a bit emotionally stable as we go into next week. All right, and here's some of the aspects. On Sunday, I think those other aspects are going to be playing the major role, but the moon is going to be trining up to Mars and Venus, so there could be a bit of support in those relationships. Even though there's that bit of cold approach, there's also, I think, a good emotional connectivity to have there, and maybe even a bit of confidence with the trine to Mars and an openness to connect, which is good with the trine to Venus. All right, so I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment down below, and I'll see you all Monday, or actually Sunday, for the Monday report. Take care.